in the beginning, especially in that early startup mode, it's grab an oar and row the boat.
Hey, welcome back to the Wild Business Growth Podcast. This is your place to hear from a new entrepreneur every single Wednesday morning who's turning wild ideas into wild growth. I'm your host, Max Brandstetter, founder and podcast producer of Max Podcasting. And you can email me at max@maxpodcasting.com to save time with your high-quality podcast. This is episode 235, and today's guests are Bree Zborowski and Kaycee Jones, the co-founders of Apolla. Apolla Performance Wear is a line of compression socks and performance socks that are disrupting the foot space by providing support and comfort. And whether you're a dancer or play other sports or have foot pain, these are the socks for you, and they're just awesome. In this episode, we talk the Apolla story, how Bree and Kaycee decide who does what and when and how in their business, and everything from Britney Spears to Disney World. It is Bree and Kaycee, which, as if they weren't cool enough already, their names rhyme. Enjoy the show. Alrighty, we are here with the dancing queens, as I'm coining, the co-founders of Apolla, some of the best performance / compression socks in the land, Bree Zborowski and Kaycee Jones. Bree and Kaycee, thanks so much for joining. How you doing today?
Thank you so much for having us. We're great. We're excited to talk with you and love being here.
Back at you. Really, really excited to dive into the Apolla story and beyond. And I started with Dancing Queens, and that's no accident. You both have an awesome background in dancing and dance instructing, dance coaching, all sorts of those things. So I'd love to hear from each of you. Like, where did that interest in dance come from?
Yeah, we still haven't figured out for me where, because nobody in my family has done it. Like you go way back, there's no dancers, no performers. It doesn't work out like that for our family. So, but I fell in love with it. My mom took me to recreational dance class when I was 6. I cried my face off. She had to pull me out and take the year off, and then I went back the next year and just fell absolutely head over heels in love with it. I still remember my first dance. It was to Surf and Safari by the Beach Boys, and I had a surfboard that I like jumped out. So I remember it vividly. And from there on, I mean, I knew it sounds silly, but at 7, I was like, this is my life. It's going to be my life. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I want to open a dance studio and I'm going to do it forever. So for me, it's very black and white.
How about you, Kaycee?
I didn't have choice in the matter. My whole family is dancers. My mom was a studio owner for 41 years. And I've got 4 older sisters. And I mean, dance was our entire life. My mom was a single mom and she owned a studio, and that's where I lived probably more at that studio than anywhere else for, the first half of my life. So dance was in my blood, and it's what I always did. I mean, my mom had the pack and play in the studio, and I'd crawl in and out and give myself a nap and jump out and join class. So it was, I was in a class. If I wasn't dancing, then I was probably at school.
So what is it for both of you that like still to this day like really gets you fired up, pumped up about dance?
It's therapy, really. I mean, you can get all your emotions out. It's a time that you can just forget about what's going on in the world around you and all your problems and just immerse yourself in telling a story or getting your feelings out. It's fantastic exercise. It's a connection. It's a human connection between anyone. I mean, the arts have single-handedly gotten us through the last few years, and people were cooped up and quarantining and all the things, and the arts kept everybody sane. So for me, it's that. Case, what about you?
When it comes to anything in the arts, it is like a part of your like cosmic DNA, and when you're drawn to it, it is just something that's a part of you that, you can't separate, no matter what. Like when you're a dancer, you're always a dancer, and dancers see dancers. Like if you ever meet another dancer in the world, you just like, you get each other, you get that life, you
Yeah.
get the lifestyle. And it's just a part of you in a way of, expressing your soul outward. And it doesn't matter if you're really good at it or you're terrible. Like, it feels the same for everybody. So it's just a really wonderful way of moving through life.
Dancing through life. So how did you two dance your way to meeting each other in the first place?
That's
Oh,
a
I
great
can tell this
question.
one.
Yeah, she's good at telling this story.
Bree and I are soul sisters. We are meant to be in each other's lives. I have no doubt. And honestly, that's the story of Apolla, period. It is a story that is driven by fate. There is just no doubt about it. Her husband, Nick, and I grew up dancing together. Every summer we'd be at a camp that my mom ran, and he was like, an adopted son to my mom. And he and I reconnected as adults. He was out in LA. He's a professional dancer. And we were both back at teaching at that camp. And then from there on, I was moving out to California after I graduated college as well. And he and I just, were best friends. He started dating Bree and brought her to meet myself and my brother and my sister. We all lived together in California. We were all working at Disney, and I was getting ready to go to grad school. He brings Bree because she's like, needs to meet the Copes. And when honestly, like, I actually said to her, like, well, you're it for him, so now you have to be my best friend too. So
Yeah, I was like held hostage immediately. Yeah.
yeah, I just decided that she had to now be my best friend too, because I just knew that she was it for him. So it was from that moment on, we just became best friends. We were in each other's weddings. We've had babies months apart, literally weeks apart for our second. She moved to Texas. I moved to Philly and New York, Atlanta. We've been everywhere. She's now in Michigan. But our lives were just so intertwined that her family's place of vacation growing up happened to also be my husband's family spot for vacation growing up.
Oh my God.
I know, it's just so many overlaps, I can't even tell you. But so it just so happened, we were able to always stay in each other's lives even after getting married and moving and everything. And one summer we happened to have the same vacation time here. It's actually a beach in Florida, just north of where I live now. It's funny. I had an idea for a business, and Bree was in a place that I felt like, she could take the leap with me, and she was the person that I knew was my partner in this. So I said, hey, you want to start a business with me? I made a pitch deck. I literally pitched her. I'm kid you not. So yeah, I did it formally. But yeah, and then she jumped in not long after, and we just this is bootstrapped from the ground up.
It's bootstrapped and sock strapped.
Yeah.
For real. We should start using that term instead. I like it better.
You're welcome. I won't trademark it. Or I might trademark it on your behalf. That's a wonderful segue from head to toe to Apolla. So for starters, for someone like me who doesn't know the slightest about socks, what are compression socks in the first place?
Compression socks are using the yarn to give the foot a hug. We use special yarns, 100% made in the US and sourced even. With our yarns and with compression period, it's just helping to move the blood flow, but we take it a step further. So typical compression socks is just about circulation and enhancing circulation, because inflammation that can occur just from every day being on your feet too long or gait. Some people have issues where they can develop lymphedema, or EDS is like a hypermobility. So some people are more prone to more inflammation. But anybody that's on their feet too long is going to develop inflammation. And so that compression just helps to keep that moving and absorb back into the body. So you get fresh blood there, because if inflammation is not allowed time to be pulled back in, it will start to compound and restrict blood flow. And that's when you start to build into those itis, which stands for inflammation, chronic issues, plantar fasciitis, tendonitis. So those are things that will happen in particular. Our socks, we use then a step further, and we use our compression to also mimic arch support. So an orthotic is lifting and stabilizing the arch to reduce the amount of inflammation that happens just from a regular walk. And so we're lifting and stabilizing in the key insertion points in the plantar fascia Then we also have a knit in energy absorption. So our socks are taking it one step further of also helping with that circulation. We're lifting and supporting and minimizing how much inflammation takes place just being on your feet all day. For some people, that also helps like proprioception and just older people, they, being aware of where they are in space and kinesthetic awareness. So it's a wide range of when you really provide that proper support for your feet, what it does and that domino effect up the body. It's a really impactful for all of the joints and muscle fatigue as well. So it does a lot in one simple garment.
I'm learning all sorts of podiatry terms today.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I should have put my special socks on for this, but
I love to jump into the science of it. You ask me, well, I'll
yeah,
geek out.
I love it. Where did your specific idea come from? Like, how did you develop what is now like the Apolla sock?
Because so I got my master's in kinesiology. Being a dancer, I went in with the mind of like studying. My main thing was competitive dance. I was a competitive soloist my whole life, and then college dance team. We were, on ESPN. It's like it's a very athletic aspect to dance, and so I was already riddled with injuries, and saw dance as a sport as well. And as athletes, which is a battle within the dance world of some people believing that it's just, you're an artist. And so I was on that mindset. So when I went in to get my master's in kinesiology, which is focusing, it's an often direction that PTs go, sports science kinesiologists and athletic trainers, you kind of start in that space. So I also got my certified strength and conditioning specialist and personal trainer, as well as became a yoga instructor. So understanding the body and the sports science of it, and then coming from the dance world and wishing that I could have done something for the injuries that I currently had, and seeing all of the other athletics having access to so much more sports science technology and research, and how they change how they train, how they change what they're wearing, all to increase performance. And the dance world didn't have that. And so coming from that world, and Bree at the time was managing and directing a large studio. She was a professional dancer for years, but then she, at the time I pitched her, was managing a large studio in outside of Dallas, Texas. She also was seeing these injuries. And her husband at the time was also managing a touring convention where these kids are dancing every weekend for hours, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, it's literally anywhere from 8 to 12 hours that these kids are on carpeted concrete, and the injury rates are just staggering. Twice the injury rate from the knee down as football players. 85% of it is due to inflammation, and the research is showing us this. But dancers, because we hold so strong to tradition, we push back on the science, and they want to do what they were taught, and it's passed down, teacher to student, teacher to student. So we wanted to bring in that wave of that science and art, and not losing, the art and rigor, but being able to bring in a product using compression and other sports science technology. And the best place to start for dancers is in the feet. That's where all the pounding takes place. Using what was already there, but then seeing what wasn't and what could be improved upon. And we started Frankensteining our own prototypes from there.
I love that term, Frankensteining. It's like one of the most visual things in the visual world out there. So I appreciate the metaphor. But Bree, so after you got pitched to and decided to join the business, like what were those initial first steps in terms of developing this product and like turning it into a real business?
We knew what we wanted to do very clearly. Kaycee had that down with the science part and knew exactly where she wanted to go with the first product. And I think we had to come up with a plan on how we're going to achieve this, because while we know a lot about dance and what they need, we didn't know very much at all about how to get this made, right? We didn't know really much about socks. We didn't know much about the manufacturing world and textiles and all the things, or, e-commerce for that matter. And so we really dove in to finding somebody that could help us get it made. Like Kaycee said, I mean, we were Frankensteining is a great word. We sat down on my living room floor. We researched every compression sock on the market, figured out what we liked, what we didn't like, what needed to be improved on. And we cut all those pieces out and put them together and hand sewed, I think, with a costumer that was making custom costumes, dance costumes for us at the time. We took it to her and said, "Can you sew this together?" And she thought we were nuts, but she did it, and it wasn't cute by any stretch, but it did the job, right? So then we found somebody to make that, and it took off from there. And it was just a lot of, in the beginning, we were meticulous. We're still meticulous, but extra meticulous about, we are not going to market with this until it is 100% right. And I, who have very little patience, Kaycee has a lot of patience. I have zero patience. So again, of great partners. It's a balancing act, but I was like, let's go, let's go. But really, the startup process, the R&D process, it was very iterative. It was very just a lot of make and test, get the feedback, test it again, make it again. And it was that over and over and over until we knew we had something really, really special. And that was almost 2 years until, the day we formed the company into the day we went to market.
One of our third founder and an owner, she's not operative, but she's was still part of that startup process. She's still a professional dancer and dancing and teaching classes daily. We had access to Bree students. We had access to dancers that I know in Idaho from my dance team years. So we had a lot of really, and then we had a network that we started getting. We had about 50 testers across North America, from professional to amateurs, that we were able to test our product on, to really know what they needed, what they liked, what they didn't, and how effective it really was.
And I would say the success of our products, especially in those earlier stages of our company, it really hinged a lot on us pulling on that network and making sure that we utilize the network that we had, which is really big for anybody in the startup mode.
So network is a huge, like, no matter what line of business you're in, leveraging your network is extremely valuable. And I think no matter how strong your network is, there's still that problem of differentiation. And you're in a
Yeah.
space with socks. I mean, you're a bit more niche than traditional socks because you're, compression slash, performance socks. But still, like, there are so many different brands of socks out there. Like, how did you cut through the noise and really, like, bring the marketing for Apolla to life?
I love that you asked this question because we've thought
My
about
pleasure.
this a
Well, you
lot.
gave me that one to ask, and no, you didn't. I'm just kidding.
Well, in the dance world, the socks were non-existent. I mean, people would use, cotton socks from the drugstore and cut them up or wet the bottom so that they had a grip on the bottom. Socks were a non-existent thing for dancers that actually were functional when we came into the space. So for us, that dance space was very niche, and we, are a very educational product, and we ran with that. We really took time and educated our customer base, introduced it slowly and properly, and really led with a top-down approach. We were going after all the leadership, the people who made decisions about dress codes, things like that. And along the way, we were hearing, "Oh my gosh, I bought these for my daughter for dance, but I love them for my plantar fasciitis. I've never been able to find anything that works." And we slowly started kind of coming up with this 5-year plan of like, this is fantastic for dancers, but these are amazing for anybody. And these are changing people's lives all over the world that don't dance. And we knew we had something really special. When you go into that mass market audience, that is a challenge, right? There are a ton of socks out there, and that are using a lot of the same terms and verbiage. And people really do need to understand the difference and what makes it special. So I think that's where the science and education, the APMA certification, the sustainable yarns that we use, the way we engineer our socks, and the support zones that we use are very different. And that's where we're focused now, is really educating the consumer. Because really, if the problem would have been solved already, there wouldn't be all these solutions on the market. People are coming to us and going, "This is the only thing that works for me. I'm finally finding something that solves my problem." And so that's where we're at now.
You mentioned plantar fasciitis so often, and I know how common it is in the dance world, but it makes me think, like, I always hear about that with basketball injuries as well. Like so often basketball players have that as well. Like have you had any communication or like desire to partner with like the NBA or WNBA like in that in like a licensing deal down the line?
Over and over, we get everybody saying, this would work amazing for, and insert anything from flight attendants
Yeah.
to
Yes.
construction workers to basketball, soccer. I mean, it really is for anyone with feet. And that's what we are starting to do this year. Our focus, we actually just signed, and we are an official sponsor for the Carvana PPA Tour. So we're going to be coming to pickleball all across
Oh,
America
that's
this
so
year.
cool. I love pickleball. That's awesome.
It's the fastest growing sport in America. So we're so excited to be able to meet that audience and introduce them to Apolla. I think it's going to make a big difference for them.
Yeah. And then we also have, a partnership coming with a big, marching band sector and drum corps. We of course, have dance, and then runners to just moms and everyday people. We have a lot of customers that are just older, active adults that have foot pain. 70% of Americans say they have foot pain daily, and half of them, it's debilitating. So it really is for anyone with feet in any sport. But right now, the main issue with the pro sports, we have had opportunities to partner with some pro sports. And right now we go up to an extra large, which is around a 12 and a half, 13 male. And so we are developing an XXL right now and extra wide to fit some of the wider feet and larger feet, hopefully this year.
Yeah. Oh my God. So some of the shoe sizes are unbelievable at the professional level.
It really is. Like I'm a 6 and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's didn't know sizes went up
Yeah.
that
You
high.
like
But yes,
hold it up. It's like the size of like a human
my head.
torso.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your business is almost like a really fun case study because there's so many different directions you can go in terms of like who do you actually market this to, and there's so many different places that and people
That's what
and
keeps it
feet
so
that can
exciting.
benefit. Yeah, how do you
Yeah.
decide where to focus in terms of like target customers there?
3 P's: pain relief, performance, and premium. We're a premium product for people that are looking for quality. I mean, yeah, our socks cost $34, but they will last you, and you're going to buy 7 pairs of cheap ones before you run out of ours. Plus you can wear them multiple days without having to rewash them. They're durable. People that care about that quality care about the premium and are willing to pay for that. Then people that are looking for that edge in performance, and that could be if you're a runner or an athlete in some way. And what's great is that we fit from 8 to 80, 8 to 88. We have young customers and young athletes that also benefit from them. That we've got a ton of kids that are dealing with Seaver's disease, and it's a really painful issue with inflammation that honestly most of the time it just makes them sit out. And no joke, dancer parents get their kids in these, and all of a sudden they're like, you made it so they can keep dancing. Like nothing else the doctor could do would work. So anything from performance edge, but then also pain relief. So anyone that has foot pain, swelling, fatigue, those are our focus. And specifically, we lean into females. We're all women owned, and we feel that is a big gap where there's so many companies that they're really either unisex or male leaning, and yeah, they're for girls. And we're like, you know what? We are for women. We're empowering women through all of our mission based and our community that we put forth outside of just selling our socks. We have a very big heart to do more as a company and in our community and for women and being working women, and that balance in life and understanding that is important to us. So we are also for guys, but we really lean into being for women in our mission as well.
I can't hear 3 Ps without spreading the good word about the 3 Ps of podcasting. That's planning, production, and promotion. That is the 3P mix to bring your high-quality podcast to life. You can learn more about each of these Ps by signing up for the Podcasting to the Max newsletter. That's at maxpodcasting.com/newsletter. Every Thursday, you get a little insight on at least one of those Ps, sometimes more, sometimes all 3. as well as behind the scenes tales from amazing wild entrepreneurs like Bree and Kaycee. That's maxpodcasting.com/newsletter. Now, let's find out how Bree and Kaycee work well together. I mean, they're just fighting all the time. I don't know how they deal with it. All right, let's switch gears a little bit to inspiration, creativity, how you both, stay inspired, creative, charged up as business owners. And clearly you both really feed off each other in terms of being business partners. And there's a really, really cool like yin yang thing going on of what both of you bring to the table in different areas and what you partner on and specialize in. So we would love to dive into like that partnership aspect. Like what was the process of figuring out like who specializes in what and like who tackles what?
It was so natural, truly. I think in the beginning, especially in that early startup mode, it's grab an oar and row the boat. There was no clear division on anything. It was just like we took a task and ran with it until we ran it down to the bitter end, right? But then, a couple years in, as we started going to live sales and really releasing more products, we had to divide and conquer. And so Kaycee, obviously, very science oriented in her thinking. She's very organized. She's very thorough. She is what I call a lifelong learner. She's always learning, always studying. I have asked her for years, like, when are you going to stop going to school? And like, I'm pretty sure the answer is never, because she's always finding some other degree, some other certification, some other course to take. And so that is really her lane. She really took on, managing the inventory and the product development. She knew exactly where those zones needed to be for success. And what she wanted to tweak and change. So that really became her lane. She really took on our marketing and being the voice because she understood, the science of the product so well. She was able to translate that because she is our consumer. We are our target consumer, right? So she was able to manipulate that voice and take that and make it loud and proud and create the voice of Apolla, where me I'm very outgoing. I talk nonstop. I can talk to anybody. And so I'm dealing with our retailers, our partnerships, the accounting side of things. I have a business background. I grew up in a family business. And so for me, I took on the books, the taxes, and that whole part of the business. And so it just became very naturally clear where we needed to put our attention. And I think our friendship really makes it so that there's an immense amount of trust required when you have a business. It's just like a marriage. And so being it that we're in two different places, we know each other so well. We're able to connect very efficiently, very quickly, and get done what needs to get done. We're both moms. We don't have a lot of extra time on our hands. So everything is quick, quick, quick. And we move the same. We have the same grit. We have the same amount of resiliency. And I truly do not think that this could work if you didn't have two people that were on the same playing field.
Kaycee, so Bree describes you as a lifelong learner. How could you characterize an aspect, a big business aspect of Bree's personality that works well?
Yeah. Oh God.
Putting you on the spot here.
There's a lot of things, but honestly, Bree is often we call her, she's the poop and the Cheerios. But
hold on, I was not expecting that. What? Go on, explain.
That was the clean version of what she typically says.
Oh,
For
we are
sure.
explicit, by the way. If you guys don't care about we are
I'm
explicit.
the shit
So
in
don't
the
feel.
cereal.
There you go.
She's saying I'm the shit. She won't say that. I'll say it. I'm the shit in the cereal. My emoji for like all of our email like emoticons, like everybody has these like positive, happy things, and I have like the poop emoji.
Yeah. But honestly, that's like, because I am a natural optimist, and I'm a very big thinker, and I need balance. She's able to balance. We balance each other's emotions and minds in a way that is needed, and so she's very down to earth and really looks at practicality, where I am always in, yeah, but here's where the dream is, and so that's really where it comes in. She is probably the most loyal person I've ever met, and you point her in a direction, and she will not stop. She is a workhorse, dog with a bone. That it's so wonderful to have somebody next to you like that you just always can depend and know that they're putting their entire heart and soul into what you are as well.
I'm starting to think you two work well together. You should partner on a business or something.
We do. And all that to say, it's it's certainly not easy. Like, I don't want to, we don't like to ever give the false impression that we have it all figured out or that it's easy. But I just think when your commitment, it's like a marriage. When your commitment is there, you figure it out. You get through the hard times together and you move forward together. And we've been able to do that. And I'm proud of us for that.
There is no coincidence. Bree's husband and I have very similar personalities. We're not the exact same person, obviously, but there is something in me that Bree needed in her husband and her life partner. And it is the exact same where Bree gets along with my husband, and there's something in them that I needed, that is so similar. So we literally like married each other in so
Yeah.
what we came forth in business is literally that same type of outlook and relationship. You're married to your business partner, and that comes with the same amount of tumultuous ins and outs and workings. Don't ever think that it's not easy, but when you come in together for the right reasons and stay committed, just like in a marriage, you'll be able to get through it.
So let's get through to rapid fire Q&A. Let's wrap up with some rapid fire Q&A. You ready for it?
Love it. Let's go.
Perfect. Let's get wild. I want to hear the answers from both of you, so kind of just jump in when you think of it. But what is your favorite song to dance to all time?
Oh my God.
Anything Britney Spears, give it to me. Musical.
Oh, Jesus.
Give it to you one more time.
Grease. I mean, literally, you turn on music, we're gonna dance. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, 100%. I was gonna say Journey, Kaycee, but you Britney Spears is better.
Yeah.
No, mine is anything by my icon Janet Jackson. She's my, anything by her. I'm down. I'm on the dance floor.
How about quirks? What's something a little bit quirky about each of your personalities? But it's who you are. Besides the poop emoji in the cereal.
I'm a sleuth. I am like my own Sherlock Holmes. I can literally watch any detective show and I will already predict what has happened in the entire plot from the beginning. I am a very analytical, I love detective, and SVU is like my favorite show in the whole world. So yeah.
That's a really good one.
In my past life, I was Sherlock Holmes.
I love it. How about you, Bree?
True. I don't know. Like, I have a weird ability to remember like names and certain like pop culture references. Like, I don't know if you've ever played the game Seen It, but we just played over the holiday and I blew my family away. They were just like, "Who are you, you freak of nature?" I was like, I don't know where I retain all this information, but it's a weird ability to like recall people's names and like pop culture references. That's weird, right?
I can't remember somebody's name. Like, I will have met somebody at least 5-6 times and I'll be like, I don't remember their name.
If you like that one, there's have you ever heard of the game Smartass? We've been enjoying that one lately.
No, but I know I need it just from the title for sure.
Yeah, it's a great name. There's a lot of ass jokes, but like, yeah, it's basically like that, or like a Trivial Pursuit, or like kind of just blurt out the answer, but it's like all like pop culture stuff, so it's pretty entertaining.
Love it. I'm what it's called, Smartass. I can't remember that easily.
Yeah, it's got a big Smartass on the front. And then last one, what is something most people would not expect about working at Disney?
Oh, Kaycee.
I feel like it's what you expect it to be. I absolutely loved every second work. I worked in a special division though. I got a stage manage. I was in guest talent. And so every single day was groups coming in. Any talent that performs inside the park, we would manage. So from, this incredible plate spinning group of kids from Thailand to, the marching band down the street to these, pop singers that, I got to watch Demi Lovato do the Christmas parade, things like that. Like it really, like, we got to work with talent every day. The guy who was a Kermit the Frog voice would lead master classes, and the guitarist from Journey would lead. I mean, it was like seriously insane. So I got to work in a cool department. We worked in music and the arts and dance, and it was a dream job for several years. I would have never quit if my husband had not talked me into moving across the country for him to go to business school.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun place to be, but blessing in disguise. And now you have a beautiful business and create beautiful lives out of it. So Bree and Kaycee, thank you so much for coming on and sharing the Apolla story and beyond. I'm dancing this entire interview, a lot to dance to. But where's the best place for people to try out Apolla and then to connect with either of you on social media?
Yeah, you can find us at apollaperformance.com. That's Apollo with an A, Apolla. And then we're Apolla Performance on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. So follow us, join our community. We have lots of fun things going on.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And last thing, final thoughts. It could be a quote, one line, words to live by, whatever you want. Send us home here.
Dance like no one's watching. I got to go with that one.
I will put what I sit and look at every day: handshake your fear. And the opposite is the medicine.
Words of advice and words that will make you dance. Not often I bet you're dancing right now. I know it. Thank you so much, Bree and Kaycee, for coming on the podcast, sharing your amazing Apolla story and dancing dynamic. And thank you, Wild listeners, for tuning in to another episode. If you want to hear more wild stories like this one, make sure to follow the Wild Business Growth Podcast on your favorite app and tell a friend about the podcast. And then try out Apolla and dance the night away and the day away with them in the golden hour away. You can also find us on Good Pods, where there are fantastic podcasts that you can listen to while wearing Apolla socks. And for any help with podcast production, you can learn more at maxpodcasting.com and sign up for the Podcasting to the Max newsletter. That's at maxpodcasting.com/newsletter. Until next time, let your business run wild.
Bring on the bongos!